Okay, so today we'll discuss doppelganger motif in Frankenstein. So first we have to learn about doppelganger. We have to know what is the doppelganger. Okay, so the Oxford Dictionary says it is an apparition or double of a living person, sometimes seen as harbinger of bad luck. So this is the definition that is there in Oxford Dictionary. And in the modern context, in the modern usage, the term or the word doppelganger is used to refer to a person who looks strikingly similar to another person, though that person is not biologically related to the another person. So if we read the novel Frankenstein, we can see that whenever there is a murder, or every time the monster commits a murder, Victor blames himself, okay, for that murder. Victor thinks that he is responsible for the death of the innocent souls. That is why Victor blames himself for the death of his near and dear ones. Okay, for the death of his brother William, for the death of his friend Henry Clerval, okay, for the death of Justin Moritz. Okay, Justin Moritz was falsely accused of William's murder and she was hanged, and for the death of his beloved, okay, his cousin uh, Elizabeth Lavenger. Okay. So every time the monster kills his near and dear ones, Victor blames himself. Okay, so this brings into play the doppelganger motif or the alter ego. Okay. Okay, so if we take an instance or example from the text, okay, we can find that in chapter 22, okay, in chapter 22, Victor says, quote unquote, Justin, poor unhappy Justin, was an innocent as I, and she suffered the same charge. She died for it, and I am the cause of this. I murdered her. William, Justin, Henry, they all died by my hands. Okay, so this is in chapter 22. And in another instance, Victor says, I am the assassin, that means I am the murderer of those most innocent victims. They died by my machinations. Okay, so Frankenstein has created the monster, and the monster has killed his near and dear ones one by one. First, the monster kills William, his brother, his younger brother. Then Justin was falsely accused of William's death. Then he murders Henry Clerval, and at the end, the monster kills Elizabeth Lavenger. Okay, so that is why Frankenstein thinks that he is responsible for the death of those innocent souls. Okay, so the innocent souls here refers to, or the innocent victims refers to William, Justin, Elizabeth Lavenger, and his dearest friend Henry Clerval. So one critic, Isa Ojolins, in her article titled Dreams and Doctrines, Dual Strands in Frankenstein, published in the journal Science Fiction Studies. Okay, so he says, there is ample evidence in the novel that the creature functions as the scientist's baser self. Baser self means darker self. Frankenstein's epithets for him, that means Frankenstein has used negative adjectives for him. For him means for his creation, that is a monster, consistently connote evil. That means throughout the novel, Frankenstein has used negative adjectives for his own creation. So, what are the negative adjectives he has used for the monster? Devil, fiend, demon, wretch, monster, vile insect. So these are all negative adjectives that Frankenstein has used for the monster. Okay. And Frankenstein seldom uses the neutral terms like creature and being, being. Okay. So that is why, you know, Isa Ojolins, okay, says this, okay, that the monster is the darker self or the baser self of Frankenstein. And in another instance, Frankenstein also, confesses this fact. I quote, "He is my own vampire." He means here the monster. "He is my own vampire, my own spirit, let loose from the grave and forced to destroy all that was dear to me." Okay, so Frankenstein has confessed that, the monster had taken away all his, near and dear ones. William, okay, Henry Clerval, Justin Moritz, and Elizabeth Lavinge. And he says that, Frankenstein says that, the monster is his own vampire. Okay, but the problem is that Frankenstein didn't accept, okay, his darker self. Okay, unlike Prospero. In Shakespeare's The Tempest, the character Prospero accepts Caliban as his darker self, his alter ego. And Prospero confesses, I quote, "This thing of darkness I acknowledge mine. This thing of darkness I acknowledge mine," unquote. So Prospero confesses this fact that Caliban is the darker self. Okay. But Frankenstein didn't accept, okay, or didn't, take responsibility of his neither forces, NETH ear, okay, that is working in him. So here lies the difference. Frankenstein is unable to cope up with, okay, his darker self, his other self. Okay, Frankenstein, evades reality or flees reality. Okay, and he faces destruction. Okay. So the problem with Frankenstein was that he was unable to come to terms with his other self, his darker self. Okay. Thank you.